going to be live now. So you can start playing. Cool. All right, you ready to take a seat?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. All right, we're going to move this guy over. There we go. We'll have a seat.
Awesome.
Cool. What's up? Happy Monday, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Rick Brothers is in the studio today. Professional drummer. Was working here at Music Compound for a little bit, but it's National Drum Month, and for most of you, you know that we did a workshop. We hosted a couple other lunch and learns focusing on drum beats, metronomes, and all that cool stuff. And today is the last day, so we figured we'd bring in our professional drummer to share his experience on the road, how COVID has impacted his gigs, and what he's doing to innovate himself, and a cool new drum. What's it called?
It's called a Zen drum.
A Zen drum, which is what Rick was just playing for you, so he'll be talking about that. But hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. I did. Did you have a nice Thanksgiving?
It was wonderful.
Did you like lay low?
No, I ate a little much, but no, actually not too bad.
Not too bad?
No, it wasn't too bad.
How many days did you eat the leftovers?
This morning.
This morning,
Yeah.
you still eating leftovers. I love it. So we had it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then yesterday we were gonna have it. And I was like, I cannot eat leftovers anymore.
Yeah, I understand.
So, but it was nice. So hopefully you guys took advantage of our summer camp special that we had. If you missed it, we do apologize, but we were giving away 50% off our summer camp for next year.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so good savings, which is crazy to think of.
You need to take care of that. Or you need to take advantage of that.
Totally.
Yes.
So we're back in the studio today. Kaylee's back. Our staff will be back. Just so you know, we are here for 3 weeks. And then we were closed the last 2 weeks of December. So make sure you get those lessons banked or rescheduled so you guys can take advantage of those. All of our teachers will be working hard the next couple weeks to make sure that you have lots of music to play while on holiday. And make sure to tune into Matt's Music Monday workshop every day, 5:30. It's all going to be holiday songs.
Oh, cool.
So if anyone wants to learn those, tune in. And I don't know if you know this, but we started a Wednesday wind down with Miss Mary. You remember Mary, right?
Of course I do.
And so we drink wine, we color, and we listen to classical music. Every Wednesday, 7:30 to 8. So make
I
sure
just
you guys
do that, but just not here.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Well,
right.
everyone does it Zoom, so you can just Zoom in.
Okay.
So it's like bringing people together, so we have a collaboration.
I gotcha.
So anyways, but that's all the cool stuff that's happening. But let's get to you, because you are the guest of honor, which I'm so excited to have you. It's been, how long has it been since you've been here?
Oh, over a year.
Over a year.
Yeah.
Because you were here last year to help Trey, right? And you did some coaching with Trey for
I think so.
trio.
Yeah.
Before they
that's true. That's true.
Before they went to Memphis.
Oh, that's true. Exactly. Yeah. You're so good.
I know. Just kidding. All right. So what have you been doing?
Well, I was life as usual. Playing music for a living until March when all that stuff happened, and then basically 4 or 5 months I didn't work at all. I mean, just basically there's just no work.
Right.
I mean,
I know a lot of musicians were going through that.
Well, a lot of musicians and a lot of people in general. I'm fortunate that I'm married to a doctor, so that's one of those that she didn't lose any work. Yeah. So we were able to stay afloat. But within the last couple of months, things are starting to come back, especially for that, because the big touring shows that I used to do, they're still not. You know that they're not happening. So, as you were talking in the intro, just trying to reinvent, and I think every musician at this point is trying to reinvent some way to keep them working, doing what they do in this time. It's so hard because most of my friends in Nashville, they haven't worked all year and probably not going to work for another 6 months. You know, I mean, who knows? I don't know.
Well, let's tell everybody, first of all, your resume. Like, obviously, you're a professional drummer. You played at the Super Bowl. You played with Gretchen Wilson. Share what you were doing back in the day before you moved to Sarasota, so everyone understands your expertise.
Well,
he is badass, just so you know. I'm not probably supposed to say that, but super cool, and he has a killer resume. I just feel so fortunate to be sitting here next to you. So share that with our viewers.
Well, I moved to Nashville in 2000. And prior to that, I lived in Wisconsin. I had my own band for 10 plus years, played locally, got to the pinnacle of where we were going to be. We did some recording, we had some stuff on the radio, but we were a local regional band. And everyone told me, man, you got to go to Nashville and check it out. And so I went one weekend, and I went there, and I met a bunch of people, and they're like, man, you got to move here. And so I literally went home, and within a month, I cut ties with everything in Wisconsin, and I moved to Nashville, and I started working there at a music store when I first got there, which is now a Sam Ash. It was a Thoroughbred Music for those that remember back that far, but Sam Ash bought it out. And I worked there for 3 months, and then I started working for a drum company by the name of Pearl. And I worked for Pearl as a inside sales rep and customer service person for 2 years. And meanwhile, while I was doing that, I was going out and networking in Nashville, going out and meeting everyone that I could possibly meet. And every drummer that I considered to be great, I made sure I became friends with them. And said, you need somebody? I'm your guy.
Right.
And that's eventually going to happen.
So because I want to go to the networking, because I think it's good for our viewers to know that, and our students as well.
Of course.
Networking as a drummer. So you're talking to people, but are you getting on drum kits at these places and drumming and
That's
showcasing?
exactly right. Well, one thing that was cool about Nashville, and I'm assuming most music areas, whereas if you come and introduce yourself and you treat people with respect and act like you have half a sense, they're going to allow you to get up and play, or at least welcome you to come and do that. So
give you the opportunity
to be heard. And so when you get that opportunity, I mean, it literally is. There's that old adage: it's not who it's not what you know, it's who you know. So you just build a relationship with these people, and so it's like you go in and you play, and they go, wow, you're really good. Okay. Well, then you go back next week, and they see you again, and then they go, oh, that guy's really good. By the third or fourth time, they go, Rick, come up and play.
Awesome.
And so then that's how you kind of know you network and you get in, and that's one of the most important things in the music business as far as it's relationships that you build, because you can be the best musician in the world if you don't have someone else that is allowing you to get into that next that upper step,
flying your flag.
It won't matter. It won't matter, because it's just literally it's the right place at the right time.
And talk to me a little bit, because I think that you're onto something too, the ego and stuff too. Like when you're going into those positions in your networking, are you going in like confident and then like a little cocky? Are you going in confident and then like humble, or like how are you getting them to really notice you, and what's the nice balance?
That is a great question. That is a great question, and people don't talk about that. Well, here's the thing. Being a drummer in general, being a successful drummer in general, you have to be a little self-confident.
Okay.
Because what they say in the business, you're driving the bus.
Right.
So, and literally, when you sit back there, you count the song off, you stop the song. If you stop, everybody else is going to stop.
Okay.
So basically, you have control of that stage when
Right.
you're the drummer, which makes it one of the hardest jobs in a band.
Right.
Is that you have to know you can't count it off too fast, you can't count it off too slow. You got to know what the song's supposed to feel like, and so you have to be a little self-confident. But in the same respect, you got to know your place and you know your role as a drummer. You don't go in and show them everything you got, because that's not what your job is.
Right.
Your job is to keep them all in time and make the song sound and feel good from the time it starts till the time it ends, and that's what will get you work.
Right.
No one cares if you can play 50 drums at a time. No one cares. They don't care about that, because you listen to a record, listen to the radio. Drums aren't like, they're not doing drum solos on the radio.
Right.
You're hearing this, and people are doing this. So if you make people do this, you will get work. And so that was what I was. You go in humble, but you've got to be a little self-confident.
Right.
When they look at you and go, okay, Rick, start it. I can't go, oh, what?
Right.
You got to go, okay, here we go.
Here we go.
And so to answer your question, you go in self-confident, but you also, one of the biggest things for any musician, whether it be drummer, guitar player, anything, the best asset you have is your ears. You listen. You listen to what is going on around you, and you complement it. You don't play drum fills over the singer. You don't play, when it's the guitar solo. It's just like, it's kind of like playing on a sports team.
Well, I was going to say, it's very much team oriented.
It's very team
and
oriented.
Respecting your other team members and their instruments.
Well, of course, and that's the thing about it, is that, when you play basketball or baseball, you have a role that you play. So when the ball gets thrown to you, it's your time to catch it.
Right.
It's the same thing when you're behind when you're behind drums. When it is time for the band to start, they're going to look at you to throw the pitch.
Right.
Okay, so there you go. It's your time. So you got to be a little self-confident on that, because you can't just go, you can't be timid about that.
Right.
I'll never forget one of the, and I'm not me, but I remember when we started doing TV when I was with Gretchen.
Okay.
I remember, like, we did the Ellen DeGeneres show.
Okay.
And it was like, a lot of times, a lot of the bands, they play to tracks, which means a lot of times the vocalists will be live, but the band is playing, they act like they're playing, because the logistics of making everything sound good and being time orientated, sometimes there's just a lot of variations.
Right.
But in this case, we were playing live. So it was like, literally what you were hearing on TV is what we were playing. Well, I realized then that the pressure of because you don't see this stuff off TV, but you have somebody sitting there, the stage manager going, and then it's me. Then the camera is you, and you're like, oh my God, I got to start this thing. And so that you have to be a little self-confident.
Right. Yeah.
Because if you weren't, it could go bad quickly.
Yeah, I think confidence is key no matter what you're doing too, which is like where we are like training our kids to be confident. I think that's one of the beautiful things that we do here is like we're not just teaching you to play music, we're teaching confidence and stage presence and all that, which is key. Because I think confidence goes a long way, and if you walk into a room confident, people are going to notice you.
Totally.
So I think that's great that you're like keen on that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing about it is like, when I walk into a club, no one has any they know I'm a musician.
Right.
The minute I walk in.
Well, you look like one.
Well, and that's not. I mean, that's kind of by design as well, because that's the other thing about this business. It's a very image-driven business.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm old, but it's like, I try to look younger because no one wants to see an old guy up there playing drums.
Yeah.
When you're old. so I mean, I do everything I can. That's just it's called music business.
Right.
People don't realize it. It's like, when I used to private teach a lot, I would always ask my students, what is your goal in this? Do you want to do this for fun? Mm-hmm. Which is 100% great.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. You go and bang them as loud as you can and turn the stereo up to 20. And if you have fun doing that, that's awesome.
Right.
And who cares?
Right.
But if you choose to do this as a living, which is what I did, there's, it's a business. Right. It's just like anything else. I mean, if you are a CEO of Music Compound, exactly, you come in looking like this. You don't come in your pajamas. So it's like, that's the same thing, is that I've always tried to, and it obviously, thankfully, has worked in my favor, that I'm known for my hair. I'm just saying, it's like you have to have an image. Right. You have to, so it's all of it.
Right. So being professional, having the image, playing the part, being respectful, being humble, being confident,
and being good at what you do. And analyzing and knowing where you are in that, knowing what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, and we all have them.
Yeah.
We all have strengths and we all have weaknesses, and I've always played towards my strength. So, are there way better drummers than me? Of course there are. There's guys that can play things that I would never dream of playing. Does that matter? No. I've played the Super Bowl. They didn't.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's tell people like some of the things
it's just a total different thing.
Yeah. So when you're at Super Bowl, so where was that? What year?
Well, that was in 2005. I was playing with a country artist by the name of Gretchen Wilson, and she was known as the Redneck Woman. She had that #1 song out in 2005, and it was interesting. When I got the job, I wasn't her first drummer. She had another drummer who was young, looked the part. He was a great drummer.
Yeah.
Didn't play well with others.
Got it.
So they went, they did an overseas trip to Australia, actually. And one of my friends who was in the band said, man, stand close, because he goes, I don't think this guy's going to make it.
Got it.
And she liked him and she liked me, because I auditioned for it. And
right.
I was one of the ones. And that's the other thing. When you go audition like that, it wasn't he was better than me. It's right. just that he knew someone else in the band at the time.
Got it.
But just so happened, they both got let go. Mm. So my buddy, who knew me, moved up to become band leader and got me the job. And awesome. She liked me. So anyway, I was playing with her, and when I joined her, we had like 30 shows for the year. Redneck Woman went #1, and we had like 300 shows, like within a month. Shows. Yeah, I mean, just crazy.
So different city every night?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh yeah.
Would you ever play 2 gigs in one day?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. But it was one of those that when she first came out, it was kind of. It don't happen a lot like that.
Right.
She was kind of an anomaly where that song went. And it went worldwide.
Right.
I mean, we were playing Australia, we were playing Ireland, and there were people waiting, to get in. So people knew her internationally. Right. Which doesn't happen to a lot of people. That one song.
She did have some other good hits.
Oh my gosh! Well, that's the thing about it is that she had Redneck Woman, she had Here for the Party.
Yeah. When
I think about cheating, and she had like four #1s, I think, and I was with her at that time, and so it was a totally different world then too. Right. I mean, it was like, so I played with her for about a month, and we were playing small venues and fairs and stuff, and then she got added to the tour of Brooks and Dunn.
Okay.
So then we went from playing fairs to 25,000 seat arenas. Yes. And so she did that, and was just getting bigger and bigger. And so we did all the award shows, all the TV shows. I've played Letterman, I played The Tonight Show, I've played the Today Show, I've played Ellen, the American Music Awards, the Billboard Music Awards, the Country Music Awards, the you name it, she did that year. And awesome. I was blessed to be a part of that. But from that, we had just gone off tour, and we were supposed to have 6 weeks off. And I'll never forget this. And it's funny you asked this question, because it's one of my memories. It's one of the most vivid. I was single at the time, and I was in a small apartment. I was doing my laundry, and I'm getting my clothes out of the dryer and folding my clothes, and my phone rings, and it was the tour manager for Gretchen. And he goes, hey, change of plans. Rehearsal in 2 days, we're playing the Super Bowl. And I said, we're playing a Super Bowl party? He goes, no, we're playing the Super Bowl.
Oh my God.
I said, you've got to be kidding me. He goes, no. We're on plane. We're out there. Actually, and it's ironic. That Super Bowl was in Florida that year.
Okay.
And so we flew down to Jacksonville and spent a week. A day later, I got a call and said, hey, one of the acts backed out at the Grammys. We're playing the Grammys the Sunday after the Super Bowl.
Oh my God.
So I played the Super Bowl and the Grammys a week apart.
Oh my God.
But that's just something that it was because of her.
You know what I mean? But and right place, right time, and people and then just opportunities.
Totally.
Which is so super cool.
And and it's great because I felt at that time like I was honestly ready for that. Prior to that, all the years and stuff I played, I don't know that my playing had the maturity that probably was called for to do that at that time. So with that being said, I'm just saying, never stop honing your craft. You always, because you never know what door might open.
And when the phone's going to ring.
You never know. And one thing I can tell you is that you only get one chance to make a first impression.
Right.
So you got to go and bring it the first time. Because
that's
if you
really
don't,
good advice.
well, I mean, you just, and like you said, one thing, you be kind, you be respectful, but you be honest, but you be on time. You know what you're supposed to do, and you go and you kill it, and you might get that opportunity.
Right.
You might. You might do that 100 times before you get that opportunity. Right. But you will never get that opportunity if you don't do it every time.
Every time.
If
and
you
be
don't,
prepared.
That's what I'm saying. You prepare for that. That's what I'm saying. That person that, when they're flying a plane and something goes wrong and it's about ready to go down, they won't expect it for that.
Yeah.
But they've prepared for it.
Right.
If they hadn't, you just never know. You only get that chance once.
Right.
So that's what I can honestly say about that. If you choose to do this as a business or as a career, just know that everything you do is under a microscope.
Yeah.
Everybody knows, and that's where your reputation comes from.
Right.
Is how you treat everybody and how you do when you show up when no one knows you.
Right.
When they show up and no one knows you, and the first time you sit down and you sit behind a drum set and you do that, and they go, awesome.
Yeah.
That's the best compliment you can get. Yeah.
So into that, the music industry.
Yeah.
Is it big or is it small?
It's both.
When you say who where opportunities.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing. I've been very blessed. When I moved to Nashville, I lived there for 20 years, and I got to know, and like I said, it's all about networking and getting to know people. Mm-hmm. Because when Luke Bryan is looking for a drummer, he's not going to put it in the paper.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's not going to put it in the paper. You're going to know those people, and they're going to know you, and that's how you get to that.
Right.
So none of my jobs was because I answered an ad.
Right.
Or I was the best guy that I'm like, oh, I'm the only drummer that can play this in the world, because that's not true. I
Right.
mean, there's Redneck Woman's not a hard song.
Right.
But the maturity to play that every night, convincingly and, and dependably, then that's what gets you and keeps you the job.
Right. And show business, too. I feel like you have to put the show on. For this audience, it's the first time they're seeing you.
It's
it
everything.
May be your 300th time playing, if it's the first time they're seeing
yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It is called the entertainment business. Right. You have to entertain them. Right. But first and foremost, you're not going to entertain them if you're not entertained.
Right.
I mean, if you're not having fun, it won't matter how good you are. And that's the thing I can stress the most, is that, yes, you have to be proficient. You have to be good at what you do. And you have to be true with yourself of what level you are. You know, I mean, but when I moved to Nashville, did I ever think I'd be playing the Super Bowl with Charlie Daniels? Of course not. Right. I never thought that. Yeah. I never put myself in that echelon. I never, but I would look at TV and I'd see all these drummers on TV and I go, I can do that. I can do that. Why am I not doing that? Right. You know, and that's what I can honestly tell you, is that you just have to be true to what you do and be humble. Right. But I'm saying just be true to what you do, and if and when that opportunity comes, you might only get it once. Right. So and the thing is like, when I tell people, I used to tell my students, like, moving to Nashville, I'm like, if that's what you want to do, or aspire to do anything you want to do in music. Right. I mean, I would never tell somebody not to do anything, but in the same respect, you have to realize and be truthful with yourself that, look at the guys doing it. Mm-hmm. Can you do that, or can you not do that? And how did they get there? What commitment did they make? That's what I'm saying. They have been there. Those people that are there, they're years before that you. Right. You know, so that is, I mean, so like I said, so doing that kind of stuff, it was everything, just like, I guess life in general, right. Everything, all your things that happen to you lead you to that moment. Right. And you got to seize that moment. And you might get it, you might not, but if you get it, you got to kill it. You got to kill it, you got to be committed. And if you don't get it, you just try again. But the thing is that you just never know when that get it might be. Mm-hmm. I was in my 40s when I got that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I thought you were still in your 40s. You look it. I love her. No, but I'm just saying, it's like, I was, most guys my age at that time, I think I was 43 years old when I got the job with Gretchen. Wow. That's amazing. Well, I'm just saying, so I had to have the energy, I had to have the look, I had to have all of that. You had to be the complete package. Well, yeah, because there's 1,000 people behind you knocking on the door going, wait till he screws up, because I'm going to do that. Right. You know, I mean, I was on TV 4 times a week. Right. So, I mean, it's just like, I don't, if I was in my 30s, I probably wouldn't have been prepared for that. Right. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have mentally or physically or just spiritually been ready for that. Yeah. You know, to know the demand. And that's why when people see people on TV, all those artists and stuff, they have no idea what happens when they walk off stage. Mm-hmm. The stress. The discipline, the stress, the crap that they're dealing with. Mm-hmm. You know, I've seen artists on the bus, and I'd get up in the morning and I'd walk out to the middle of the bus, and they'd be on the phone just crying because they had a phone in each ear. Everybody's pulling at them. You got to be here. You got to do this. You got to do that. It sounds like a hard life. Hey, it's fun, but it is not what people think. Right. It's not what people think when they see on TV. Mm-hmm. When you see them on stage and they get done, and you're like, wow. Yeah. Yes, that 2 minutes is wow. Right. That's awesome. Then you got to go. You got to grab your stuff, grab everything, get into a 15-passenger van, drive to the airport, get on a plane, no sleep, get up, go do a morning show, and I mean, it's just people have no idea. And so, like all the artists that are out there doing that, you sometimes you be careful what you wish for, because I've seen it, and that's why a lot of them have substance abuse problems. A lot of them lose their personal relationships and stuff, because it's a hard life. Very rewarding. Yeah. It's very rewarding, but you just have to know what goes with it. It's not all.
It's not all.
It's not all awards and hobnobbing with the best. I mean, it's not all that.
And living on your boat.
It's
in your
not.
mansion.
Yeah, it's
You're probably
not
not even home. So
a lot of times, yeah.
So looking back on your journey, because obviously you were on the road and you did the touring, and we have kids that are like, some of them want to do that. Some of them just want to play and gig or whatever.
Of course, yeah.
So do you have any advice if like they're really wanting to go on the road? Like, should they not that you want to tell people not to do it, but can you just tell them how hard it can be?
Oh, no.
I mean, I feel like you just did that a little bit.
But elaborate. I mean, no, I would encourage, like I said, I would encourage anyone to follow their dream and do that, because I did, and who would have known if I didn't? Right. I wouldn't be sitting here. Right. I wouldn't have had this, I wouldn't have had the pleasure to have known you and be here and be honored enough to be here and share my story. But, but like I said, I didn't dream of any of this stuff. So I just knew what I was meant to do. This is what I've meant to do my whole life. Everything I've done work-wise, every dollar I've made in my adult life has had to do with the drumstick. Yeah, so I'm very blessed. Not a lot of people can say that. So I'm very blessed to say that. But in the same respect, I also know that it's a business, and it's a hard business, and especially now in these days. It's like I don't know how a lot of my friends in Nashville are even paying their mortgage or how they're eating, because they're not working. They're not working. And, obviously this will pass, and what we hope, and things will come back more. But our life has changed. Yeah, I don't know that there's going to be 70,000 people in a stadium anymore coming to see you play, which I got the opportunity to experience, but I don't know those days. I can't see those days now. Right. Yeah. So what we were talking about is like reinventing yourself. Is that part of the reason I came down here is I knew that I didn't want to be on that tour bus anymore, because I was on it for 20 years, and I'll tell people this. Well, I say it's a young person's and a single person's game, but like I said, I was 40 years old when I started, so I wasn't so young when I started it. Right. But know that it's going to affect your personal. It's going to affect your personal life a lot.
Well, it sounds like you have to give up so much to live that life.
Yeah, well, or be with someone who understands it. Right. I mean, so it's one of those things that, and that will lead to this. One of those things that I tell people, like when I moved to Nashville and I was able to make those opportunities for me, it was because I was hungry. Right. I was hungry. I stayed out till the early hours of the morning just to meet that person that might get me to the next thing. And there's so many times when I was like, God, I just want to go home and go to bed because I got to work at 8 in the morning. But I'm like, gosh, I gotta go. And I would go, and I would stay there. Sometimes it would be fruitful, sometimes it wouldn't. But you just never knew. You never knew. So I was always, I literally, I'd be sitting at the intersection going, go left, I'm about 2 miles from home, or I'm about 10 miles from that club that I know he's playing at, and I haven't met him, so I need to go meet him. And every time I took the right and went that way, it led me to another door. Yeah. So, awesome. So with that being said, I mean, you can't go into it expecting anything to be given to you. Right. Because it won't.
Well, and I think that's kind of like with generations today as well. Like, I grew up hungry. Now, was I literally hungry? No, my parents, we had food on the table. I had the best childhood, but we worked like as if we were starving. My parents had tons of jobs, tons of businesses, and that's how I was brought up.
Well,
Some people don't know what it is to be hungry.
I think that's one of the reasons that we're such good friends and that I respect you so much is because I see that in you. And working for her, I know that. Anyway, but there's no surprise to me that you're as successful and this is successful as it is, because if it was anybody but you behind this, it wouldn't be. And I know that. I know that, and I'm not saying that. I know that, and I've always told everyone that I speak about you. I'm like, that woman, she'll be president someday. I'm just saying, but I love that about you, and that's why it doesn't matter what life shows you. You're going to deal with it, and you're going to make it work for you.
Right.
And look what you've done.
Yeah.
And this, even having this open this time during the last 6 months, is unbelievable to me. Because one, people, this is not a priority or a need for anyone.
No.
This is a want.
Right.
This is a privilege.
Right.
And privileged things have pretty much gone by the wayside.
Yeah.
You can't even go see a movie.
Right. Yeah.
Or you can't go see a live band hardly. Now it's starting to get a little bit, but so the fact that this is even open and that you're still thriving and making, but that's the thing about what musicians have to do is what she's done. You're doing this.
Right.
You're staying relevant. You're staying in front of people. You have people talking about you. That's the only way you'll make it in this chair or that chair.
Right. Exactly. And I love that. Well, let's segue into being innovative and like changing with the times. And let's talk about, which by the way, thank you for your kind words.
Of course.
I love just hearing that, and it feels good for
you know I mean that.
I do know that.
Yeah,
and I appreciate those kind words.
Yeah, this isn't for TV.
I know.
You know that? No.
It's not for fake book.
No. I'm just saying, you know that. You know I feel that of you.
I know, and I appreciate that. Yeah. So as we've had to change our course, like when I think about years in the past where people were like, oh, online lessons, I was totally against online lessons. I hated it. Or when we had a teacher move because they wanted to go to Nashville, I was like, well, now you can't take lessons with that teacher.
Right.
And now looking back on it, I'm like, oh my God, I should have totally done that.
Yeah. Because
there was a lot of missed opportunities because I was so like, I want to bring everybody here. So we've been able to go online. We went online pretty quickly. So I would say about 50% of our business is still online. A lot of people are coming back in because you have people that are on opposite sides of the spectrum on this whole entire thing. But anyways, let's talk about what you're doing to be innovative and how you're getting gigs. And then I want you to bring in the Zen drum. So let's talk about that and how you're being innovative and getting the gigs, because I think a lot of musicians are needing to know what the heck they can do.
Well, here's the thing. For being a drummer, what you saw me playing and what I'm going to play for you, first and foremost, I'm a drummer. That's how I've made my living. But I also know that in any business, like in any business, you have to have something special, different, whether it be your look. Mine's the dyed hair and the beard. That's what I'm known for.
Right.
Everybody knows Rick in Nashville, the guy with the hair and the beard. That's how I was known. Because being a good drummer, there's 100 of great drummers in Nashville. Right. But when I walk into a room, he looks familiar, and I know him. So I've always kind of used my image to stand out a little bit, and whether it be, and it doesn't matter what your image is. Maybe it's a green mohawk. Maybe it's shaved with
hair, like me.
Yeah, who cares? It's just something that you're known for.
Right.
So, not saying my image is by any means what anybody else would want, but I'm saying it's what I'm known for.
Identified.
Yes, yeah. So it's like they know Rick. That's Rick.
Right.
And so so that's part of the thing that to help keep you relevant. But the other thing is that, like for example, now, I was fortunate that I moved here. I thought all my big shows were gone. And then I got a call from out of the blue to go on the road with the singer from Bad Company and was doing, so now I'm in the rock world, the rock and roll world, which is a totally different thing. I was able to do the Monsters of Rock cruise, got to meet all my my mentors that I grew up listening to.
Wow.
You know, I mean, I was like, well, Bad Company in general, I grew up listening to that.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm getting to play those iconic songs with these iconic people.
Right.
Wouldn't have happened if I didn't have solidified my reputation and what I was known for. Mm-hmm. He's going to have the look. He's going to look like this when he shows up. Mm-hmm. He's going to be prepared. Mm-hmm. He's going to know the songs, and he's pretty good at what he does.
Right.
So you can hire him pretty, you can be safe in hiring him.
Right.
So you got to do that. So now that all that is, no one's toured since March.
Right.
I mean, no one. All my friends, like I said, no one's working. So, like right now, how I'm getting work and how I've kind of adapted myself is with that instrument, because now bars can't maybe pay twice of what what they pay normally. They can pay
right.
about half.
Right.
But if you go in with half the people, you're making about the same, and
right.
they can do that.
Mm-hmm.
They can't pay 1,000, but maybe they can pay 500.
Right.
You know what I mean? So instead of a 6-piece band, come in with a 2-piece or a 3-piece band.
Right.
And you can still
make money.
Make a living. Yeah.
And you're not going to be spending as much time setting up the entire drum kit.
Oh my
that's
gosh,
another thing that I was talking to, because we have some people that are like, I just want a gig, and I'm like, I understand, but they're like, I can make more money on this gig than going to do this, and I'm like, but if you take in how much time it takes to set up the drum kit, then you play, and then you break down. If you break those down all those hours, you're really not making as much as you think you're making.
Oh my gosh, no. So, you think about it. Yeah, I mean, say the job is 30, 45 minutes, an hour from you.
Right.
That's 2 hours.
Right.
You're there for 4. So you think you're making this for 4 hours. All of a sudden it's 6 hours. And I guarantee you it's going to be longer than that.
Right.
Because you might you might have to be behind an accident. You might, they might, it just.
And the set prior, you could be running late. Or
yeah,
knows.
Always. So, right. I mean, yeah, it always averages out. You're never, it's never what you think it. It's never black and white.
Right. And yeah. I think that going back to the trio, and how you're working with the trio, it's less people rehearsing. I know a lot of bands are kind of afraid to come back together and start rehearsing. Like, we were doing live streams during the shutdown. We would give our space to bands where they could do a live show, and all the tip money went to them, or we didn't charge them.
Sure.
And a lot of the bands that we reached out to were like, hey, do you want to do this? Like, we're not even rehearsing.
Yeah.
So, so how is your trio rehearsing? And how are you guys
working? Don't rehearse.
You're just professionals, and you just have the music.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this long enough that if I don't know this song, fortunately for me as a drummer, it's probably not going to be that difficult. But like I said earlier, the biggest thing is your ears. Just listen, and be willing to bend. Right. I mean, if they want to play it faster or slower than you're used to,
right,
just do it. They're going to pay you money at the end of it.
Right.
It's a job, and that's what a lot of musicians
right.
don't realize, that it's you make the, and not all. Some
right.
do it strictly for fun, and that's great too.
Mm-hmm.
And then that way, then you can be a little more picky if you want to. If you don't want to play that, or you don't want to play those songs.
Right.
If you only want to play, Van Halen, or you only want to play Snoop Dogg, or whatever it is you want to play, then you can do that.
Right.
When you use that to pay your car payment, you've got to pretty much do whatever they ask you to do.
Right.
If you want to do that for a living.
Right.
Which is what I chose to do.
Yeah.
So every band I've been in, have I loved? Of course not.
Mm-hmm.
But I love playing the drums.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have fun when I'm up there. I may not like that guy. I may not like that guy. But as long as he pays me, I'm going to be respectful. I'm going to show up on time. And I'm going to want him to call me back.
Right. And I think that's a very valid point. Like, just my little experience with the bands, it doesn't seem like everybody likes everybody, but you're either doing it because you love it and you just can't have another job that you just do it, love it, or you have to be there, which kind of takes the fun out of the whole thing.
Well,
right?
And that's the thing about it is that one thing I can tell people is that I gave this up a long time ago, is you can't have an ego doing this business.
Right.
Because there's always somebody better than you, and there's always somebody willing to do it for less than you because they want the opportunity. So you either realize where you are and where you stand and what you want to do. Do you want to do this part-time and set up 20 drums and make it look at me. Everybody,
Right.
there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. But realize that you won't work a lot.
Right. Or with other people. No one's
yeah, I'm just saying because one, no one wants you to deal with your attitude. No one wants all that. They're like you. Right. They want to show up, have fun, make their money, and go home.
Right.
No drama.
Right.
And so you know, and that's just the mindset I think of making it being a professional musician and having fun making music. Right. It's different. Completely. It is different. Yeah. And it's like that with any job. It's not just music. It's any job, but it's music business. And I guarantee you, if Taylor Swift tomorrow did something that somebody didn't like, she may be gone. Who knows? I mean, you just don't know. Yeah. I mean, you never know. Right. You think, oh, no, that's not. Well, I mean, it's happened to many.
Well, I think Dixie Chicks.
Exactly. All those people. I mean, you say something, you do something that you think that, you can lose everything like that. Yeah, like that. It's scary. Yeah, so, I mean, like we said, be humble, just do what you do and just stay in your lane. Right.
So I want to go back to your trio, not rehearsing, which I can understand because you're professionals.
Yeah.
But how are you guys building that energy and that, like, where I'm saying to say, I just think when I'm thinking of, like, stage presence and you were thinking of energy and you're thinking of the crowd feeding off of you, how are you guys building that for the audience to feed off of you if you're not rehearsing?
Well, part of that is because that's what I do.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to go there in a bad mood and show somebody I don't know that, ooh, I hate this song. And he calls that song and I go, God, I hate this. I'm going to play it like it's the first time I've ever played it and play it the best I can play it.
Because you're a professional. And that's what I want our kids to understand.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I hate half of the songs I have to play to make a living.
Right.
I mean, I shouldn't say hate. I don't say that. But I mean, I would never listen to them. I would never play them. I don't, I mean, I don't listen to, I'm not a country fan. Look at me. I'm not a country music guy. But I made a living at it at a pretty high level for 20 years.
Right.
Doing that because that's what I was hired to do.
Right.
So, but I didn't go home and put on Redneck Woman on my stereo.
Oh, I heard you playing it when you pulled up today.
No, yeah, right, yeah. No, but I'm just saying, but I wouldn't do that. But that's the point. If I'm telling anybody that wants to further themselves into this or that, realize no matter what you do, whether you work in music compound, some days are going to be awesome. Some days are going to stink. It's just the way it is. And some days you're going to go home, and I've been there for some of those days, and you're like, oh my God. And then you come back the next day, and it's the best day. Right. You're like, this is exactly why I did this.
Right.
So that's with everything.
It's with life.
And, and that's the thing about people, I think that because music is so fun, and, and it's one of those things that everybody's attracted. And music is, it's the universal language, right?
Right.
So everybody that wants to do what you're doing looks at you like, I wish I could do that. So that's the fun part. And that's very contagious. I mean, that's fun.
Yeah.
And you get to think that it's always going to be fun until you start, like I said, to pay your car payment with it. It's not always going to be fun.
No. Well, speaking of fun, let's have you play that Zen drum.
Oh, okay.
I want you to talk about it. I'm going to move our camera angle so we can get a little bit closer.
Okay.
But can you just tell our viewers what it is, how you got introduced to it, how you're making money, and then play something for us.
Oh, okay. Well, what it is, in music, amongst music instruments, there's a term called MIDI, and it's like a music interface, digital interface. I can't remember the exact term, but in layman's term, it's what allows music instruments to talk to each other. So, when they're in the studio and you hook a keyboard up to the computer, or you hook that, there's always something that connects the two interfaces. So, well, what this is it's an instrument that is the actual instrument that I'm going to hold has no sounds in it. There's no sounds in it whatsoever, but it's kind of like having a programmable. Um, well, it's a drum kit, but you could play piano on it if you want to.
Okay.
But I can program any sounds I want on it out of the drum module that I have it hooked to. So with that being said, there's no right or wrong way to play this thing. People play it differently. Sometimes, I mean, there's no right or wrong way. It's totally adaptive of how you want to play it. Kind of like that. You know, there's right and wrong ways. There's techniques that's involved, but you might go in there and somebody go, that's wrong, and you might be the next innovator and be the next.
Right. Exactly.
You might be the next, phenomenon that's all over the country because you do it differently.
Right.
So this kind of allows you to be that a little bit, and it's not a new instrument. I've had it for over 20 years, but it's not very well known, especially people outside of the music industry. So it catches a lot of attention. But for me, I used it because I sing. And when I used to come up front, and when the guy that played drums for me left, I couldn't come up front and sing and front the band. So I happened to go to a music trade show, and I saw this, and I was like, that's pretty innovative. That's pretty cool. So I bought it with no reservations of thinking, or no expectations of thinking that it would be something that I'd be playing 20 years from now, making music and making a living doing.
Right.
But thank God I did.
Yeah.
Because now I can go in as a 2-piece or a 3-piece, make a living. Because my big shows are not here anymore.
Right.
So now I can do this. So if you want me to.
Yep. I'm going to just change the angle. You're going to stay seated, or you want to be standing?
I don't care. I'll probably stand. It'd probably be better if I actually stand. So yes, this is called a Zen drum. You can look it up on the internet. I actually kind of endorsed this instrument, but the guy who makes this and innovated this is one of my good friends. So if you reach out to them, tell them that Rick sent you. But like I said, these are buttons and they're touch sensitive. So you can see I can increase or lower the volume, but it makes it, for a drummer, make it sound more natural. So as I was telling, as I tell most people, you can be an amazing drummer and not be able to play this because it's a totally different skill set. And you can be great at this and not play drums. I'm fortunate to be able to do both, but so how many people out there have drummers in their family and they're always sitting around doing this?
Oh my gosh.
In the car, on their knees, and my mom would go, "Would you stop that?" And I'd be like, so my fingers, I was always doing something, and she'd be like, "Oh my God." Well, it helped. So now, like, what I've done and what people that play this instrument do is they adapt of how they would play a drum set. So if I'm going to play, I got my hi-hat cymbal, my snare drum. Well, I'm using this to play my hi-hat. I'm using this to play my snare drum. Well, and obviously I'm using my foot. Well, only thing I've done different is I've put my foot on this finger, and I've put this hand on this finger. I'm still using this. And I have my toms down here, and I have them set up. And like I said, you can do this. Anybody can play this differently, but I try to set, like if I was sitting behind a drum set, I'm right-handed, so my toms would go from left to right. So my toms on here go left to right. And when you hit, if you're a drummer and you know this, when you hit a cymbal, you always hit your bass drum with it. Normally, I put them together so I can hit the bass drum and the cymbal. So when I go, instead of hitting just one, I hit both. And this allows me, I've set it up, I've programmed it so this button turns off this button. So when I hit, I can go, it stops it. So I can go.
That's so cool.
So what this has allowed me to do, and then the other thing about this is so interesting, as you can see, there's 27 buttons on here. A lot of them I have programmed the same because how I learned how to play it is I would sit down with a song on the radio or on the stereo, whatever, and I would say, how would I play that if I was going to play that on here? And so I would just sit there, and then I would put certain sounds on these buttons going, oh, that feels right. So I can actually play like percussion. I can play congas. And what's great about that is that I go in, I'm there, I set up in 15 minutes. The guy that's running the sound can turn me up, turn me down, doesn't tell me to knock it off. I mean, if he don't like what he does, he turns the volume down. But when this is mic'd up on a big PA system, you really can't tell the difference if you're not looking.
Really?
You know what I mean? And part of that is because I've played it for so long and I've got pretty proficient on it. But I'm just saying, it's like most people are like, electronic drums, I hate that. And I'm with you. For the most part, I wouldn't want to play electronic drums. This is a different instrument for me. And like I said, I can sit in my shorts barefoot on the beach and make a living doing this with this.
I love that.
So that's why it's called the music business. You know what I mean? So it's like, would I rather be on a stage with a double bass drum set with laser lights over my head? Of course I would.
Yeah.
But that's not going on right now.
Right.
So I can still do what I love, and the other thing beautiful about this, and can you show this over here? So this is my sound module, and so what I can do is there's like 500 sounds in this. I mean, it's no different than that keyboard over there. I mean, it's like a piano, and it can play piano, it can play organ, it can play all these different kind of sounds. Well, that's what this kind of does, and I can play stuff like this on it. So you can do all that. I have all kinds of sounds on here that I can do. So taking that to a gig is pretty nice. Because I can play any kind of song and have basically the sound for it. And I'm telling you guys, drummers, this takes 15 minutes.
I love it. I love it.
I mean, it's way different than setting up a drum set. So,
cool.
Awesome.
That That's awesome. Yep. We'll just finish out our segment right over here where we were hanging out before.
Yep.
Awesome. Make sure we get you into the camera view. There we go. Awesome. Cool. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I loved talking with you. Thanks for sharing your experience. Where can people buy that Zen drum?
It is online. It's actually Zendrum, ZENDRUM.com. And like I said, if you reach out to him, just tell him that you saw it and Rick was talking about it. And like I said, I'm very good friends with him. And
what's the cost? Like what?
Something like that. I think, it's going to run you about $1,500. And that is just for the instrument. and then you have to find a sound source.
Right.
But not much different than a drum set.
Honestly, my first drum kit I bought for the compound was $2,500.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. By the time you buy cymbals and cases and microphones and all that, you could have one of those.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
all right, well, we'll drop the link in the comments as well. That way they can go directly towards if you have your own special links.
Awesome.
Because you're a sponsor of it, or you're still...
Well, it's
brand ambassador?
Well, yeah, pretty much. I mean, like, I don't think they do really artist endorsements, but if there were, I'm one of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, because he's known me for 20 years.
Cool.
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's segment. Once again, Rick Brothers. He has a website. He has Facebook. You can find him. And are you gigging locally with that?
I am.
Where can they find you if they wanted to see you gigging now?
Let's see. I'm playing locally now with a band called the 301 Travelers. We play. Gosh.
I put him on the spot. We'll drop
I'm trying to think.
Okay, so when you say 301 Travelers, is it like US 301?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
so are all the gigs around US 301?
Aren't they all?
Yeah.
I don't.
Just kidding. Just kidding. I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Anyways, well, thanks for tuning in Midday with MC with Jenny and Rick today. On Wednesday, Matt will be breaking out with the holiday songs and lots of cool things. Mellow Mushroom Pizza Place is sponsoring Wednesday's Lunch and Learn. So tune into that. We'll have some coupons and discounts for everybody. Once again, consider giving the gift of music lessons. It's a great experience that'll last a lifetime. You can do piano, drums, ukulele. We have a variety of different classes for all ages, not just young ones. Actually, 30% of our business is adults these days.
That's awesome.
We have our jam sessions just started back up. We have adult bands. So we've got lots of things happening online or in person here at Music Compound. Once again, we are locally owned, small business, and woman-owned, which is super cool. So think about supporting all those local businesses this holiday season. We hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Any last words?
Support this one. It's awesome.
Thank you. All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.